Hi, hello, welcome everybody. My name is Courtney Tomiko Langto, and this is the We've Been Out Here podcast, presented by The Unpopular Black. So this first episode is an introductory episode. I recorded it multiple times, and there have been multiple errors that have presented themselves. And so I really liked this episode that you will hear. And so I must forewarn you that there is an audio distraction for the first little bit of it. I mean, actually, here's the thing. This is a very raw podcast, and it is so very imperfect. And so there is and will be audio distractions. There may be moments where there are freezes. So this will be audio and visual. So you can find this on podcast streaming services like iTunes, Spotify, and Anchor. And then you can find this also on YouTube. So the visual aspect is really important to me, so that way you can see who we are, that we are not a monolith, that we're just regular, everyday black folk. But that we have like such a deep, immersive love for the outdoors. So, anyways, I preface this all to say I hope that you enjoy, appreciate, and get everything that you need from the first episode to continue to listen. And then also every Tuesday will be a release of interviews. So through the course of this first season, I will have 20 interviews, interviewing black folks at all different levels, at all different years of experience of and in the outdoors. And then periodically there will also be videos of me like behind the scenes, and if I can get other ones, I think that'd be really great. But so, yeah. Cheers to beginning when you feel inspired instead of when it is perfect. The amount of times I have tried to wait till things are perfect, to which I end up not starting because it has never been perfect enough. In many of the endeavors that I have tried, is countless. And so we are not here for that. I hope that this first episode, even through the distractions, gives you everything that you need to want to spend time with me at least once a week and my guests. So cheers to the first episode, and yeah, I'll see you later. Hello, and welcome. This is the We've Been Out Here podcast. I am your host, Courtney Tomiko Langto, and this is all presented through and by my company, The Unpopular Black. And so this episode, we are gonna go ahead and talk about what We've Been Out Here is, what inspired it, how it's evolved over the last few months since I even was inspired to create this, what it'll look like, and yeah, that whole vibe, right? So, a little bit of backstory of me, and I'll have my own episode here, but the We've Been Out Here podcast goal and focus is to provide the representation that the Unpopular Black has been wanting to provide. And I just couldn't figure out what that looks like and how that looks through the Unpopular Black. Oh my God, are y'all hearing these? I think these are ravens. They are going hard right now. So the Unpopular Black's mission is to provide, or is to encourage adventure beyond the stereotypes and narratives of what Black people don't do. And the way that I focus on doing that is providing representation, information, and access to the American outdoors. And you know, I think it's simple, not easy, but it's simple to provide information and access, you know, through social media, through blogging, through all of the things. But the representation part is what I kept on getting hung up on. And, you know, for me, it was very much kind of just like showing, sharing, reposting other Black folks who've been doing the things, right? Well, this summer, it's now January 2022. But this summer, Outdoor Retailer, which is a outdoor convention focused on business to business, sales, very much retail, right? Outdoor retailer, outdoor industry retailing. There's a lot of networking there, like most conventions. And there were a lot of, you know, one of the big parts of it is having folks who are in the outdoor industry who maybe not sell anything or have a business of sort, but they're there to network with the businesses, right? And so, or they have some sort of connection to the businesses or whatever, right? It's massive. It's in Denver, Colorado, where I was living at the time. And I met so many, and by so many, it wasn't technically so many, but more than I had experienced. So many Black folks, so many brown folks who were in the outdoors, but not just casually or, you know, for some form of business like me, but Black folks who have been in the outdoors for decades, advocating for the outdoors, working for the betterment of the environment, working for getting appropriate policies written, created, folks who are doing the things and have been doing the things that if they were white, they would have received so much more recognition for. And it inspired me deeply to meet them. You know, one of them, Phil Henderson, you know, I met him at a networking event. And it was like before anyone was there, I was there early, and I turned to him and I'm like, you look like someone important. And I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. I met in person James Edward Mills as well as Taisha Adams. And James does not live here. Does not live in Colorado. But Taisha, Phil, you know, there were so many other Black outdoors people who lived in Colorado, and I didn't know their name. And granted, like, you know, the last few years I've had a lot of anxiety around meeting and networking with just, I guess, folks in general. And so I wasn't necessarily at the functions and connections where I would have met them But just the fact that I didn't know their name, I was not only embarrassed, but I also was very much inspired because, again, if they were white, they would be praised highly. I learned about so many other Black figures in our history that are not spoken of, that are not highlighted. Previous to that, I was back home in Alaska, which was prompted by Chad Brown created Love is King, which is, I don't know if it's considered a nonprofit, but the focus of it is to have Black and brown focused leadership excursions, and that's what that one was. I don't know if the rest of them will be leadership, and those who have been in the outdoors. I think he will open it up to people who don't have as much experience in the outdoors. But anyways, we went to the Arctic Circle. We backpacked and camped the Arctic Circle, and I had never experienced being able to relax and not be responsible for people's lives in those spaces in a group. And because everyone knew what they were doing. For the most part, everyone knew what they were doing. While I was there, I really connected with Dudley Edmondson, who is just such a phenomenal figure in the outdoor space. He is a author. He is I don't know if he's technically a scientist, but I'm so sorry, Dudley. Your bio is escaping me right now. He's an author. He is a birder. He is a professional photographer, nature and land photographer. This man has, I think, at least 3 decades under his belt. And I did not know him until I showed up with him. We had like Zoom calls or whatever previous to the adventure, to the Arctic adventure, but I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was. And so anyways, my point in all this is just to say, not only have we been out here, but the level at which we've been out here should be honored, should be celebrated, should be spoken of in these spaces, in these rooms that have been taken up by white folks for so long. And so I just want to help be a part of the storytelling, sharing the stories. I think that once we are able to see, on the high level, like, the Phil Henderson is leading a majority Black, but Black and brown, I think actually it's all Black group, and I think it's 10 members of this group to summit Everest. And yeah, if I was not at Outdoor Retailer when they announced it, I would not know. I used to be an active believer of the narrative that we do not do these things. And once I was exposed to the outdoors and sought out my own adventures And then started looking around and just being like, damn, we do these things. I very much felt that we need to remind the majority of the Black community and show the majority of the Black community, those who, including who I used to be, who used to believe, or who believe that we don't do these things. Because if I can show you, if I can prove to you that we do these things, and not only show you, but provide a space for these people to share their stories, then what can the community say when they're invited to go on a hike? It will force people to be honest of like, you can no longer say we don't do these things, because here you go, look, we do these things. So then is it just that you don't want to do these things? And if that's the case, let's talk about it. What about it scares you? What about it holds you back? I think once we are allowed and provided the space to be honest, we are also allowed the space to face our fears. And if anything, that's what adventure is. Adventure is saying, man, this is risky, but on the other side of this is a whole new version of me. It's a whole new version of life that I may not have ever expected or experienced. When you adventure, when you traverse the outdoors, even if it's a day at the park, the nature unlocks something in you. It reminds you that there is so much vastness beyond your perception, and that it's accessible to tap into. And also, depending on the level, it's safe. And even when it's not safe, there are ways to be safe in the unsafe spaces, not spaces, activities. And so, the podcast will be focused on sharing stories. I interview, I think this season I'll aim to interview 20 people. As of right now, I have 14. I'll interview up to 20 people, as well as share my stories. I have some behind the scenes. I have some random video of just me adventuring that I was told people want to see. So this podcast excuse me. This podcast will be both audio and visual, so you can find it on, excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. You'll be able to find it and me on, well, not me, it and we, us, on Apple, iTunes, on Spotify. I don't think I plan on doing Google Podcast. But I think mostly just those two. And then I'm doing it through Anchor. So I guess also Anchor. But as well as YouTube. And then I'll be having little clips on Instagram. So yeah, I want you to hear us. But I also want you to see us. I want you to see that Black people in the outdoors is not a monolith. It is not this certain type of person who adventures. It's not a certain look. There's not a identifying factor of blackness, a version of that is an outdoors person. We are every version of the Black American. And I just want us to see and experience the representation, the depth, the love of Black people in the outdoors. There is no one who I interviewed and who I will interview that wasn't changed deeply, that hadn't evolved from the immersion of the outdoors, from the love of the outdoors and their experiences. And I just think that as a community, that is a place where we have a chance to really heal. That is a place where we have the chance to allow ourselves to be our fullest selves. Nature heals you on such a soul level, and we need it. We deserve it. And I feel joyful. I feel honored to have felt inspired to even create this. And so I hope that this provides you, even if it's just insight, even if you literally never take your ass on a hike or camping or kayaking or any of the things, even if you never decide to do that, that's okay. But I hope that you still feel inspired to know that you are not the narrative and stereotype that society has placed on you as a Black person. That you can do anything that comes to mind, no matter what the image of the type of person that has been seen in whatever you want to do. I so badly want for us to expand, for us to believe that we can have all of the things. And so with that, I think I'll wrap up. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so honored that you are here. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at I might need to make a new email, but you can email me or slide into my DMs. Email is holler, HOLLER at The Unpopular Black. You can find me on Instagram at The Unpopular Black. You can find the YouTube. The YouTube will be connected to The Unpopular Black YouTube, but the podcast will be on all streaming services. On iTunes and Spotify and Anchor, under We've Been Out Here. So I thank you so much for your time. I thank you so much for your attention. I hope that, I do have to say that, purposefully, but also accidentally, the podcast is not perfect. There are interruptions, there is versions of sound issues. I'm very much figuring it out. It's very much a version of ugly beginnings, which I'm okay with, because if not, I would never start. I used to be such a perfectionist to where I would sit on something for so long, and then be completely immersed in anxiety and feelings of failure when I couldn't make it as perfect as someone who had been doing it for a long time. And so I hope that, where the sound might be off, where the background noise might be a lot, I hope that you can listen and watch through it, and that it's not too distracting for you to get the depth of the message and the story. So with that, thank you so much. My name is Courtney Tamiko Langto, and we've been out here. Bye.